Deuce Knight tore it up versus Mercer and could be QB2 for the Iron Bowl. He shouldn't be considered a freshman anymore. Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G. Turn us on, turn us up. We'll turn it out. I'm here with my good friend, Caesar Walker, to talk a little Auburn football here to kick off a Monday morning. Caesar, we've been talking Deuce Knight all weekend, and deservedly so. The young man had a hell of an introduction to college football in his first start. I mean, I'm not sure it could have gone any better for Deuce than it did. They actually pulled him from the game and went back to him. He was playing so well on Saturday. We had to ask the question, could Deuce be QB2 for the Iron Bowl? Now, as we're recording this, we have not had our Monday press conference yet. I will be there, but I guarantee you the question will be asked of DJ Durkin. How far up that depth chart did Deuce move after Saturday? I fully expect us to not get an answer, a real answer. However, I'm just going to assume that he is QB2. And before we started recording, you and I kind of talked about this. If you put him in that QB2 spot, for all intents and purposes, he is no longer a freshman. You got to be willing to throw him out there, not just in case Ashton gets injured, but in case Ashton isn't playing well. This is the Iron Bowl. It's the last game of the season. You're trying to make a bowl game, and you're trying to ruin Alabama's chances to make the college football playoff. You got to pull out all the stops, man. That means being ready to play Deuce Knight if the offense struggles, and it's clearly quarterback play.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't feel comfortable putting Deuce out there in the Iron Bowl, then he's not QB2. I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Like if you don't really feel comfortable putting him in a situation like that, should worst case a situation happens where Ashton Daniels gets injured, or to your point, I have a hard time imagining him not playing well in the Iron Bowl at home.
Yeah, I think Ashton's going to play well. So I
think he's going to play well. Yeah. I have a hard time thinking. But if he does get injured or have to come off the field, and you don't feel comfortable putting Deuce Knight, inserting him into the game at that moment, then Jackson Arnold needs to be QB2 then, in my opinion. I think that Deuce Knight, that being said, Deuce Knight, in my opinion, is QB2 because I think he is much closer to being a sophomore or a second-year redshirt freshman than he is a true freshman at this point.
Right.
He's got some in-game experience, albeit against Mercer. But I think to your point, it was a best case scenario for getting his feet wet in the college game. He's got some game reps. He's getting comfortable back there. And again, you saw how naturally gifted he was as a QB. And there's aspects of his game, Mike, that you just can't coach. You can't coach that up into any other player. He is a weapon. He is a threat. And if you are a Bama fan and you saw what you saw against Mercer, you hope that doesn't step onto the field at Jordan-Hare at night.
Yeah. Auburn Jesus. That Jordan-Hare voodoo that seems to come around every like 4 or 5 years. Could it be time for some more of that night magic here 2 days after Thanksgiving? Could be. We'll see. But Deuce Knight, 15 of 20 this past Saturday for 239 yards passing and 2 TDs through the air. Caesar, the young man, had a game. And when I say he had a game, he had a game. So those 2 TDs through the air were not it. His first play from scrimmage was a 75-yard dash for a touchdown where he outran everybody to the end zone easily. I knew he had wheels. I didn't know he had wheels like that. I had those people who tried to tell me that he was more athletic than what we saw. And he looks to pass first, so it's hard to miss his athleticism sometimes. It was on full display to the tune of 9 carries for 162 yards and 4 TDs on the ground. Now, mind you, he was like 175 yards rushing, but they took some yardage away from him after a sack. They have this silly habit in college football of counting sack yardage against your rushing total. They don't do that in the NFL. Mm-hmm. But, Deuce was a whole dual threat. And having that dimension in the Iron Bowl, I think helps Auburn. Now, Ashton is also a dual threat. Um, I'm not sure that he's as dynamic a runner as Deuce, but he is a very patient and he's a smart runner. I don't think he's going to take unnecessary hits, and he should. I don't think the offense changes much from Deuce to Ashton from what we saw. Both guys seem pretty willing to throw the ball over the middle of the field, find guys on routes that we just didn't see Jackson throw because of how the offense was being called when Jackson was the quarterback. But if you're Alabama and Ashton gets hurt, reprieve may not be coming. It might get worse for you with Deuce Knight, and there's barely any tape on him.
Right,
He
right.
looked, he looked poised. Nothing rattled him.
He's one of those guys where when he runs, he gets you into manageable downs.
Mm-hmm.
And he does have that potential to hurt you. I'm reminded of towards the end of the first half when he broke open that run that got called back on an egregious holding call. Um, he does have that. He does have that big play ability with his legs. But yes, to your point, Deuce Knight he runs in a way, Mike, to where again I mentioned it in the weekend tailgate. There's a point of reference that we as Auburn fans have in terms of people who had that type of breakaway speed. Nick Marshall
Mhm.
was one of those guys. Cam Newton
What?
was one of those guys from the QB position. When they got out in open field, they had the ability to really take it to the house. And that's what Deuce Knight has. Like when he gets an open field, he's gonna break off some chunk yards. I yeah, to your point, I think if he gets if something was to happen and Deuce Knight comes in, the way he's able to put stress on a defense, I'm impressed with how he easily can escape the pocket. He did it in such a very smooth way, Mike. Right? It
He
wasn't
did.
like he was playing backyard ball. He just made a quick move and he's out of the pocket, or he steps up into the pocket and takes off. And when he takes off, he's looking down the field. The reason Malcolm Simmons got open on that play and you had that huge play is he was still looking down the field, whereas most other quarterbacks have taken off already. They've left. Deuce is still looking down the field, which means if I'm a corner or safety, I'm going to have to defend my guy for about 10 seconds.
Yep.
That is immense stress on the defense. You truly are having to play 11 on 11 because you're worried about having to hold on to a defender for so long because Deuce can extend plays. And so to me, when you have that guy coming in, yes, it is not a relief for your secondary. It could be a long night for a secondary where you have explosive receivers like the ones Auburn have. Could you imagine Eric Singleton having to guard him for 10 seconds?
I do.
Cam Coleman for 10 seconds. And if you are able to cover them then with your back to Deuce Knight, what that could mean for your defense,
I do.
terrible. Terrible.
Terrible.
So it's a good problem for Auburn to have with someone like Deuce Knight waiting in the wings there.
Ashton Daniels, I think, is going to play extremely well in this game, and he got rested up. I don't think he was dinged up at all, but he's going to be ready for this one. And if you're Auburn, you just gave Alabama one more thing they have to potentially game plan for, or be screwed if they're not prepared. But
Yeah.
Deuce Knight is a whole problem that hopefully, if you're Auburn, you don't need in this game. But if you're Alabama, you don't want to have to deal with should it come down to it. Before we move on the other side, this could end up being a battle of the quarterbacks between Deuce and Ashton and Ty Simpson, a guy who is second in the SEC in passing as of the time that we're recording this, and that's passing yards. He's got, I think, like 22 touchdowns to 4 interceptions on the season, so he's not turning the ball over a ton. Look, Ty's playing well enough for Bama to win games, but there's a lot on the line here for the Tide. Rumors about their coach potentially being at the top of Penn State's coaching search list, and some people in those circles, I think it was Tide 109 that was reporting that there could be some mutual interest there. If you're Auburn, you have a chance to send Ty and DeBoer packing in this game. Can Auburn pull it off? We're going to talk on, let's get to the break. And on the other half, I'm going to talk about the matchup that worries us the most in this game. And that is Ty Simpson versus a very, very suspect Auburn secondary. We'll talk about that next, right after a quick word from our sponsors, our friends at Abel's Iron Moore and Associates. You don't need a big balance to get big advice at Abel's Iron Moore and Associates. There's no minimum to start your initial portfolio review. It's completely complimentary. Whether you're just starting to invest, a do-it-yourself investor, or in the final stages of planning for retirement, AMA's fiduciary advisors will meet you where you are. No sales pitch, no pressure, just honest guidance. Call AMA at 912-777-4128. Scan the QR code on your screen or visit AIMC.com. It costs nothing, but could change everything for your small business. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's Iron Moore and Associates for this endorsement. Abel's Iron Moore and Associates is a SEC registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. I want to thank our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. Ever run out of vape juice and realize you're nowhere near your favorite spot? Not a problem. Sky Tobacco and Vape's got locations sprinkled all over Columbus and even across the bridge in Phoenix City, like they planned it that way just for you. Whether you're on the move or just vibing up and down 280, they've got everything you need. Vapes, tobacco, and deals so good, you'll do a double take. Sky Tobacco and Vape, good vibes, great deals, and probably just around the corner from where you're at. No judgment if you walk in your pajama pants. I want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. If you're in the Columbus, Phoenix City area and you're looking to get fresh for the weekend, the Vibe Vault is the spot for you. My guy, Steve Watkins, get the community fresh for Thanksgiving. Book your appointment right now. Let me tell you something. Everybody's got to travel, and he is booked up. I'm going in on Tuesday morning, Caesar, to get the beard trimmed up and get the line right for Thanksgiving. You should too. I'll see you there. The Vibe Vault. You can find them on Highway 431 in Phoenix City, right across the street from Chattahoochee Valley Community College, next to the Renfro Supermarket and the Marco's Pizza. The Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Last but certainly not least, we want to thank our friends at SetsForSociety.ai. The road to knowing self better starts at Sets for Society. They have custom personality assessments that let you know a little bit more about how you think, how those around you think, and how you guys can best work together to achieve like goals. Knowing how those who you work with think and receive information is so important. It is completely overlooked in today's workplace and in everyday relationships. Sets for Society is helping you improve just that. Visit them today. Fill out the form. They'll reach out and do the rest. Get to know yourself with Sets for Society. Let's jump back into our conversation here. Ty Simpson is the man that Auburn has to stop. Can they stop him? Can the secondary stop him? Mercer's QB was doing really well in the first half. He was doing pretty good. And I got to tell you, I was pretty impressed with him. He ended up 20 for 33 on the day for 210 yards and a touchdown. However, he did throw 2 interceptions. So they did get to him. And Auburn did not allow much in the air or on the ground in the second half of that game. But for the first half, he was dropping dimes, man. Like, I don't know.
Dropping dimes in the second half, too.
Yeah. If we're to believe everybody coming into this game, Mercer is the greatest FCS team in the history of the FCS. Pat McAfee was calling for the upset. College Football Home on Twitter, a bunch of dum-dums. They were naming upsets. This was not anywhere near an upset. Auburn is way more talented than Mercer. However, you could not ignore that their QB played well. Could Auburn's secondary be susceptible to accurate QB play? You could argue that any team would. However, if you're Auburn, you can't let them be great at the thing that they're good at in this game. Not in your house, man. You got to get after Ty Simpson. And I think the disappointing part of that first half for me was Auburn's defense that has been the absolute pinnacle of Auburn football this year was unable to get to the Mercer QB as much as I would have liked.
Right.
So, you got to get to Ty Simpson.
To me, it's funny what a difference a few weeks make, Mike. Like, I wasn't worried about this unit going into the Iron Bowl weeks out. And now I'm not as worried about the offense, and I'm terrified for Auburn's pass defense, right? Obviously, Bama throws the ball better than they can run it. And so, to me, I think I wouldn't expect for Alabama to run all over Auburn in this game. Auburn's been pretty stout against the run throughout the year, but where Auburn has been vulnerable has been in the passing game. The last time out against an SEC opponent, Diego Pavia went wild for 377 yards. Ty Simpson, I think we had on record this year, he's thrown for over 300 yards 3 times, I believe. You don't want there to be a fourth time in the Iron Bowl, which means some of the fans joke about it being third and Durkin. Auburn's pass defense got to get off the field. They have to get off the field. They can't allow chunk plays. They can't be busted coverages. You're already going to be down Sylvester Smith for the first half in this game in your secondary from a rotation standpoint. Auburn has to play a solid game. And again, getting Bama into third and long, but also getting them off the field after third down, not allowing them to convert is going to be the key in this game. I expect Auburn to be stout against the run. But again, this is the area, Mike, that worries me. And Ty has been known to go off in games. And obviously there's guys in the secondary that you want to pick on or can pick on. To your point, Auburn's pass rush has to get home. They have to be able to throw off the timing of Bama's offense because, again, even if you're playing zone, even if those guys are playing well, you don't want to leave them on islands because you can't get to Ty Simpson. You have to throw off the timing of their offense to where you got to give your secondary a chance to be able to make plays.
Yeah, look, Kenyon Lee had a rough day.
Yeah.
Versus Mercer. And this was a guy Georgia was literally trying to like lure away from Auburn these last couple off seasons. And his struggles have been amazing. I've just been baffled by his struggles this season. How did we end up here with the secondary? They were supposed to be one of the strongest, if not the strongest group coming into the season. And they've been soft all year. I mean, it's my only criticism of DJ Durkin's defense has been the secondary. Is that on Crime? Is that on DJ? Like, how do you get this fixed for one game? For one game, you need to be the best you've ever been. And I would argue, look, man, they faced some pretty good quarterbacks this year. Think about the quarterbacks Auburn's secondary has gone up against this year. You've gone up against Sawyer Robertson. I think he still leads the FBS in passing yards, does he not? He's been fantastic this year. No, he's fourth right now in passing yards with 3,372 yards. Ahead of him are Connecticut's quarterback, FAU's quarterback, and I think who is this guy? Northern Texas. So like, there's nobody. There's no power 4 quarterback ahead of him. Let me put it that way. So as far as I'm concerned, he's the leading passer in the nation. So you went up against him. You went up against Marcel Reed. You went up against Gunnar Stockton. You went up against John Mateer. You went up against Taylor Green. You went up against Diego Pavia. Come on, dude. They have gone against some crazy quarterbacks so far this year. And now you have
Ty Simpson. Yeah. Yeah. Even a QB from Mercer, who's a baller.
They have faced some crazy good quarterbacks so far this year. And I feel for them, but you've got to pull out a good performance against a good quarterback. That's what good teams do. And you have been a good defense all year. This is just the one thing that they have to catch up on. Look, man, let's play a little game of over-under here. We looked at Ty Simpson's stats, right? He's got 3 300-yard games on the season. I think it was Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, and Texas, maybe?
They didn't play Texas.
They didn't play Texas? No, I forgot who the third team was. But over under 250 yards passing for Ty Simpson in this game.
I'm going over.
Over? You think
I'm going over. That's not even a hard one there. That's not even difficult. He's going over.
This is going to be a shootout. If you're right, I think this is a shootout.
He's going over. I mean, I don't see them running the ball. He's going to be throwing the ball a lot.
You think so? What a change. What a change for Alabama.
No, yeah. This is where they are. And that's what worries me, Mike. To be honest, especially if Auburn's offense is gunning, it has the potential to be a shoot. It has the potential to be a shootout.
Wisconsin was the third team, and it was his highest total of the year. He threw for 382 yards and 4 touchdowns against no interceptions there in the third game of the season.
I will
So
say this, Mike. Last year, I think we were always impressed with Auburn's pass defense because it was a bit more stout against the pass. Are we going to have to credit that to Charles Kelly, who's no longer with the program?
I covered his first game as coach at Jacksonville State. Right.
I think that is a factor into why the secondary doesn't look the same this year as they did last year. I think Charles Kelly moving on, taking the head coaching job at Jacksonville State, uh, has played a big part in why some of the safeties may look lost in pass coverage, right? Like some of the safeties have gotten picked on at times this season and throughout the season. I just think that has played a part in it, and it was one of those things where you hope as the season went on that they would get better, but depending on the matchup, and again, this is a bad matchup for Auburn, we have to admit, and this is what concerns me, Mike. Like if for all of the excitement we have around this resurgence or renaissance of Auburn's offense, Auburn's secondary is primed to get picked on in this upcoming Iron Bowl.
They are. I mean, there's no way around it. It's been, you've got to find a way to make this kind of a non-issue if you're Auburn. And I fear that the way the secondary has played, you're going to have to win a shootout in this Iron Bowl.
I mean, that's what Vandy came down to.
Yeah, you're going to have to win a shootout, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have to win a shootout. If you can't stop him from passing the ball, Auburn is going to have to win a shootout, and Cam Coleman and Ashton Daniels and Malcolm Simmons, these guys are going to have a pretty prolific day through the air. You got to get out fast in this game, but you've got to find a way to turn him over. He threw 2 picks versus Eastern Illinois.
Yeah.
So
Auburn is ranked 98th in the nation in pass yards allowed. So that's why that's an easy stat for me to go over on 250, Mike. That's easy. They're allowing right at 241 a game.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy to think about. What a crazy stat.
Yeah.
So, look, they're going to figure something out. But either way, we're going to be here to cover it. Caesar Walker, I want to thank you for joining me on today's edition of the Auburn Express. Guys, look, YouTube has a new feature that we want to tell you all about. YouTube now has a hype button just for the content you love the most. The War Report is delivering the coverage you count on daily, so smash that hype button to help the channel reach more college sports fans. It's a great way to support our work. Smash that hype button. Hit the comment section after the video and let us know what you think about Ty Simpson versus the Auburn secondary. Going to be a lot of fun to watch here. And let us know what you think about Deuce Knight. Should he be treated like a freshman with kid gloves, or do they take the gloves off for the young man headed into the Iron Bowl and turn to him in their time of need should it arise? We want to hear from you. And while you're in the comment section, do us a favor, smash that super thanks button. Your financial support helps keep the work that we're doing here going. Please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. We're signing off, and as always, worry.